And it's recording. Welcome
Hey,
to
got it.
Matrix Talk on this, July the what?
13th. Yep.
Wow, 2023. For those of you watching later on, well, we got at least one person with us.
Yeah, there's Vaughn saying hi from all over.
That's nice. We're going to do, it's a beginning act, introductory act, what you want to call it. I'm just going to focus a little bit on mindfulness. But first,
Yes.
take a look at your screen and you can see for all the cool things, and especially tomorrow, there is tomorrow morning, we're going to do an act for PTSD presentation.
Live.
Live. So if you sign up, that would be great. If not, can't do that. There's several other 6 and 3s continuing aid courses
On demand.
And you simply click the green button and voila, you're there. You can choose one of them and get it. In the upper right of your screen, I think you could follow us or something.
They could share. I don't see a follow up in there anymore.
Well, somehow people are following us.
Yeah, they're still following. Yeah.
I don't know how it happens, but they do. So if you see on your screen where you can follow us, please follow us.
Yeah.
Other than that, please sign up for a course that keeps these free content coming. But as I said, today we're going to do a little snippet on mindfulness. Because, just because, right?
Yeah. Because it's our crowdcast and we can do it.
Because we can do it. So we're not going to, we won't delay the inevitable. We will go ahead and start. Oh, there, Dina has shown up. Hi, Dina.
Right. Hello.
And you can chat into us in the lower right. Hit the chat. Dina says, hello. Oh, how nice. Okay.
Very nice.
You can also tell us where you're from.
Yeah, we like knowing where people are from.
I said, did I say Maine? Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, you did. Oh, yeah, you did. I'm still in Langhorne. It's still hot.
Maine, Pennsylvania, Chicago. Oh, cool.
Yay, Chicago.
So, drum roll. Here we go.
Yep, let's do it.
So, forget about all the stuff you see in books and stuff, folks.
Yep.
So, we're just going to cut to it. When you do ACT, this thing called acceptance and commitment training and therapy, it really, you're going to engage clients of any kind. It could even be a business group or a Kiwanis group, or any kind of folks. That's why they put training in it as well. You're going to engage those people in 3 processes. One is the let go of your struggle with internal stuff. So I got anxiety. I don't really want to have anxiety. I'm going to try not to have it. That's a struggle. You're going to let go of that. You're going to show up to the present moment. And that means instead of worrying about the past or worrying about the future or something, instead, there you are, right there in the present moment, attending to the present moment. You're going to do that. You want to engage them in that activity. And then 3, you want to do get moving, which is get moving toward the life that you want. Now, in ACT, they call that value. But in the way Phil and I do it, we say who's important to you. Right. Either way, it establishes a signpost in the distance that you can then evaluate your behaviors against. Meaning, is what I'm doing working to get me there? So is what I'm doing working to further my relationship with my wife? Is what I'm doing working to further my relationship with my son? Like that. Or it could be what's important to you. So is what I'm doing working for my education?
Or my career.
Or my career, or something like that. but that's why they put the values in. But today we're going to talk about mindfulness. And a lot of people fire up ACT and they say, okay, everybody get comfy in your chair, put your feet flat on the floor, all kinds of, my power has been restored. Yay.
Oh, nice.
And they relax and do the deep breathing. And they just do a mindfulness exercise. And I've been doing a lot of ACT stuff. I've been going to it since '04 or so.
Yeah, I've been at it quite a long time myself.
And a lot of it is that mindfulness is disconnected from the overall process.
That's a good disconnect.
Disconnected. I mean, it's like, do mindfulness. Check.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. We've done it. Now what?
Do a values exercise. Check.
Yep.
And somehow, like, do a diffusion exercise is what they usually call for the let go. Check. So I've done those exercises, and therefore I'm doing ACT. Well, sort of, kind of, maybe, but the engine's really not running, folks.
Yeah. No.
you got wheels over here. Yeah. Your tires over here, your steering wheel's over there, and your engine's over there.
Yeah, they're laying around, but they're not working together.
They're not working together. So the trick is to get the three working together. So why do you want to do that? Well, because ACT at its core is a learning model, and they hide that because people don't like learning models.
Yeah, they do. They really do put that back there in the back.
So they hide that.
Yeah,
they hide it.
You got to really dig.
Yeah. But it is that. And so you're doing mindfulness. You're showing up to the present moment so that your whole being, not just your mind, whole being,
everything's going along for the ride,
will notice the results of your behavior, and along the way, you'll eventually notice if your behaviors are working to get you where you want to go. That's what mindfulness is for. Showing up to the present moment. The technical way of saying it is that you're in touch with the contingencies of your behavior.
Yes, it's very learned.
That's very learned, but it works. I mean, you're in that position of you're putting your hand on a hot stove lid and you're going, ouch.
Yep. Do that again.
That's a consequence right there. And your whole body, I mean, you don't have to reason this out. You just automatically don't go putting your hand on any stove lids.
Right. It didn't even look like a stove lid. You're just stay away from all that stuff.
Oh, that crap, And you don't have to reason it out. Gee, I'm going to sit around and analyze whether I should be putting my... No, it's not that at all. You just know not to do it. That's learning by consequences, and that's how you learn how to talk. That's how you learn how to walk, okay? It's that kind of learning that ACT is getting at. And so the mindfulness has a real purpose, but the real purpose is so that you're aware of the current consequences. And notice I said it's an action. So you're doing something like putting your hand on a stove lid and noticing the consequences of that action. If you're sitting in a chair, just sitting there, mindfully sitting there, well, that's it. You're learning about the consequences of sitting there.
Sitting there mindfully in a chair.
All right, that's it. So ACT, and this is Steve Hayes says this even in his Get Out of Your Mind and Into Your Life book, which is you really ought to be doing like walking mindfulness, or what Thich Nhat Hanh called it, walking something.
Walking meditation.
Meditation or whatever. You ought to be moving.
Yeah.
you ought to be doing something and noticing the consequences of what you're doing. Well, we humans, after we learn language, and the more we learn language, the less able we are to do. That's
Yep. Those consequences just zip right on by us.
step right by us. We talk ourselves out of
Oh
them.
my gosh, all the time.
I should have learned that, but my mind tells me differently. And that's the problem. Your mind, and that's why ACT is based on a theory of language and cognition called relational frame theory. And relational frame theory essentially shows how your mind gets in the way of that core learning process.
Yes.
That's what it's for. And then how to get it out of the way. But for that, so here we go, mindfulness. So the next time you have somebody sit in their chair, put their feet flat on the floor, put their hands on their knees or whatever, close their eyes and do a mindfulness. That's not it.
No.
I'm just going to be frank with you.
Yep.
That's not.
You can do it. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it.
That's fine, but
Yeah.
that's not learning by doing.
No.
So
There's not.
somehow you want to transfer that, and that's in education. That's what it's sort of what it's called, right?
Yeah.
So I want to. It's not transfer, but it's generalize.
Yes.
I want to generalize. So I want to generalize that mindfulness to moving around,
Right.
not sitting in a chair, but I want to mindfully moving around.
You want to apply
Well-
it. I guess the word I would say is apply it.
Apply it.
Applied mindfulness. Let's put it that way.
Apply, right. Meaning that you're noticing the consequences of your behavior.
Yeah.
And if you really do, and you're open to the consequences of your behavior, you will learn stuff really quick.
Really interesting things will happen.
Really, it's amazing what
Yeah, it really is.
what an old dog like me will start learning.
Yeah.
and so that's one of why is Kevin beating this drum? Stop starting sessions having people sit around doing mindfulness sessions.
Right. We're doing a meditation exercise.
Right. They didn't that's not what they showed up for.
No.
They didn't.
They can go to the meditation hall, dojo, wherever they want to go.
Right. And it sounds so wonderful, and it sounds so, meditative and
Oh yeah.
healing and
Very, very groovy.
groovy and all that. But it's just the probability of that generalizing to learning by doing is precious. Really not going to happen. So, but you still want to be showing up to the present moment. Okay. So, how do you go about doing that? Well, it's sort of you do all three at once. Okay, you do the show up, the let go, the get moving all at once. That's the trick of it. And you say, well, why is Kevin saying that? Why is Dr. Pope saying that? Why is Phil agreeing with him on that? Well, it's why we created the matrix. That's what it's for.
Pretty much.
The matrix is a walking mindfulness exercise.
Yep.
That's what it is. It's other things as well. I'm not saying the matrix is only that.
No.
In essence, we were looking for a way to engage in the present moment while you're doing stuff.
Everyday mindfulness for the streets kind of stuff.
Mindfulness for the streets. And so other than that, ACT tends to be this thing where you're doing, well, I'll do some value stuff over here,
Yeah.
and I'll do some mindfulness stuff over here, and I'll do some diffusion stuff over here, and they don't coalesce together.
They never meet. They never meet.
And I'm not saying it never works and all that, but
It's hard.
it's hard. It's
very hard to do that way.
Phil and I have done lots of that. We've
Yeah,
done-
it's hard to do it that way. It really is.
But now here comes the matrix, And if you go through the matrix and you do it a few times, you'll notice that your sort of taking a mindful approach to things.
Yes.
It
Dare we
just
say mindfulness shows up?
it shows up, and there Phil nailed it right there. It shows up.
Yep.
I didn't have to say, there you
Now
have
we're doing this. Oh,
mindfulness exercise. You need to sit down and put your feet flat on the floor, get your butt cheeks down in the chair.
yeah.
Once you get into that, you're telling people what to do, and that it's not act.
They don't like it.
No, they don't. One, they don't like it. Phil and I's clients, I had PTSD, Vietnam vets for
Yep.
the most part. Phil had a bunch of ne'er-do-well. No, I mean, they were nice kids, but they
Oh,
were
yeah.
headed for jail.
Well, they were difficult.
Yeah, they're a difficult crowd. And they didn't like it either. I mean, they want nothing to do with it.
No.
And so it was like, and there's a lot of people have that problem. It's like, well, I'm trying to do meditation with these folks, and they're
Yeah.
checked out on me.
Well, they just say, I don't want to do that.
They'll either, the nice ones will just silently get on their
Yeah.
phone.
Right.
uh,
Slither
and
away.
So here we go, folks. So I'm it's this. We don't do the mindfulness for that reason. We simply engage people in sort of a fascinating process, an interesting process that engages your attention. And when your attention is engaged like that, you're in the present moment. That's what we're going for. So the cadence sounds like this. Oh, hey, take a look at this diagram. You know, is it okay if I show you how to use this diagram? How's that? And people go, yeah, sure. You can show me how to use it. Great. So we start down here in the lower right, and we ask, who's important to you? So who's important? I can tell you right now, my wife is important to me, among other people, but my wife is important. You got somebody that's important to you. Usually people, I'm not usually, 100% of the time.
Absolutely. All the time.
People will answer that question. And so as they do, and you can put in the chat, who's important to you? If you want to engage in this process. And what has happened? Well, that's the show up part. But it's also mindful. It's now. You're answering that question now in real time.
In the moment.
You're not thinking about the past, who used to be important to you, or who's important to you in the future, but they're important to you now. And you're noticing inside yourself who's important to you.
They're showing up in you.
They're showing up. You're doing things. And now you've begun this mindful process. You're showing up to the present moment. So you're doing a twofer. So the one who's important to you gets to get moving thing going, which is who's important. So that lets me ask the question, are the behaviors I'm doing working for my relationship with who's important to me? Check. Okay. But I'm also in a mindful process. Next, we say, okay, that's all well and good.
Yep.
Let's go over to the yucky stuff. All of us have yucky stuff like fear that shows up. You know, I have fear that shows up.
Oh, good.
Can you think of other yucky stuff that people have that shows up? And people go, oh, yeah. They'll say pain. They'll say anxiety. They'll say all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
irritation.
Now let's stop for a second, folks. Where are they getting that information? From the past? From the future? No, it's now.
Right here, on the spot.
They're answering it from the present moment. They don't have to. I didn't ask them where were they born. No, I don't know what kind of yucky stuff shows up. And they start noticing, and now from an RFT, relational frame theory point of view, when I say the word fear, well, fear is related to anxiety and trepidation and all kinds of words like that. So those are all lit up inside the person. Now they're feeling all of them, which is a form of diffusion, by the way. So I'm doing let go.
Yep. Loosening it up.
I didn't have to talk about it. I'm just doing it. and it's happening in the present moment. That is in a mindful process.
Yep.
So next, what kind of stuff do you do to get rid of that stuff, or move away from it, or however you want to say it, get relief from it? I don't care. But they're saying, well, fear I run, fear I drink, fear I cut,
Right.
fear I use heroin, fear I beat people up, whatever.
Whatever.
So Phil was going over this before. People say, well, what if somebody says that, what do they call it? Unsocial or some kind of,
Oh, crippling social anxiety.
well, that, and then they do something like cut themselves.
Yes.
And it's like, well, what do I do with that? You say, okay, that's a relief move.
Yeah. Right.
Now that we just got at something else about ACT, which is it's totally non-judgmental.
Yeah.
You don't judge people about cutting and heroin. Now, obviously, if you got a duty to warn for self-harm.
Well, yeah, you're gonna do other things there.
I can tell you, I can count on 0 fingers how many times it's happened to me.
Yeah, myself too.
This has not happened to me, but I always know in the back of my head if it did, I'd have to stop. But right now, it's like, oh, so you do heroin to get relief? Cool.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Up it goes. They're not doing it in front of you, so it's just they're telling
So
you.
notice what they're noticing. I'm having anxiety, and to get relief from it, I'm doing heroin. They're connecting those dots.
Yes, they're making that
in real time, right now.
Yeah.
Now. They're not having to do it. So I'm not having to say, you need to mindfully pay attention to having anxiety and then mindfully be aware that you're using heroin to get rid of it. Are you doing that mindfully?
Yeah.
And they're going to go, oh, screw you. I don't know.
Really. This is too hard. Goodbye.
They don't want to hear that language, but you're just engaging them in this mindful process. So that's what's going on. Out in the upper right, what can you do to develop your relation further with your wife, son, other people, that kind of thing. And they'll say, go to dinner, call them up, text them, all those kinds of behaviors. And now you roll it. And finally you can put in, do you think you'll have the opportunity to notice all of this stuff happening in your life in the next week or so? Now that noticing word that's the mindful word out of used across all of ACT, but particularly used within the matrix because we use it as the replacement for mindfulness.
We liberally sprinkled it all over the place.
The people I worked for, they wouldn't do mindfulness for nothing. But
no, never.
100% of them would do noticing.
You get up and walk out. Right. Everybody does noticing.
Well, everybody does noticing. It's not a problem. And noticing is a present moment, showing up to the present moment activity. But you never had to mention, except for we explicitly say noticing, because in the United States at least, everybody from pre-K on up know what noticing is.
Oh, yeah.
They just know what it is.
You do it all the time.
They know what noticing is. They know the behavior of noticing. And so you're talking very familiar, very easy to reach.
Something they already know how to do.
Right. They know how to do it. They're not put off by it or anything. And so now, it's like, oh yeah. So let me get this right. I'll notice myself doing stuff to further my relationships and stuff. And I'll notice myself doing relief moves. And I just notice all that stuff. Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Now you got it.
And all of you may be going, what do you mean? That's it? Yeah, that's it. Because that's learning. That's called learning.
And the learning will happen.
Learning's going to happen automatically at that point.
Can't stop learning from happening. It's going to happen.
And the fancy way of saying it is that it's not verbally mediated. You don't have to ponder yourself into knowing whether something's noticing whether something's working.
You don't have to evaluate.
No, you'll just notice. No evaluation needed. I mean, later on, you might go, oh, things seem to be going a lot better. Okay.
Yep.
That's neither here nor there. So I, then Phil and others spent thousands and thousands of hours figuring out a way. I'm not saying it's the only way,
No.
but a way to get all three of those acceptance and commitment training, therapy, whatever you call it, processes working at once and working at once. And you're not teaching them, you're just doing them. So you do values, you do mindfulness, you do letting go. You're doing it. You're not talking about it. And so that's what it's for. But other than that, ACT it's just hard because those three processes tend to be separated.
Yeah, they're teased out so much that you just can't get a handle on it. And the people that you're working with can't get a handle on it either.
No, they don't. And so I just hear a lot about people doing values exercises, doing diffusion exercises, or doing mindfulness exercises. But always, what do they call them in work? They call them silos.
Yes.
So they're in silos. There's the mindfulness silo. There's the.
We're going to trot out this section. Now we're going to trot out this section. We're going to trot out this section.
But they're not integrated.
They're not integrated. They're not interconnected. They're not. There's no flow to them. That's what I would say.
So that's what the ACT matrix is for, is do it. If you come up with a simple way of doing those three processes together like that, other than the matrix, more power to you.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I'm all for that. I'm more than all for that. I will cheer you on.
Do it. Do it.
I absolutely will. But just know that ixnay on the forcing people to do One, you also, when you force them to do them, you're coercing them to do them.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're taking a one-up position, and you just blew ACT. ACT is a level.
Yeah, you blew the collaboration.
Right. It's collaborative model, not a one-up. And once I say, hey, Phil, you ought to do mindfulness, I just went up.
Yeah. Tell me what to do? Rats.
And of course, it didn't come from, colleague to colleague. It came from counselor, therapist, teacher, whatever, to some other students. So the power differential is automatically there. So you have to be extraordinarily careful not to step on that power differential. And you'll go one up. So that's it. So ACT is level, meaning it's collaborative. So you don't try and tell people what to do. So notice I said, hey, I got these two lines. Can I show you how to use them? Is it okay if I show you how to use them? Yeah, sure.
Why not?
So that's as teachy as we get right there.
Yep.
And then we engage them in the process. And they're like, well, what do I got to do? Don't have to do anything. Just notice all that stuff. Now, understood that now you got a bill for a 50-minute hour, so you need to chit-chat for the next.
There are some words you still need to be using, correct?
Okay, fine. Just keep coming back to the matrix. Oh, that stuff you're talking about. Where does that go?
Yeah.
That's all. And it's that simple. And by the way, each time you do that, you bring them back to the present moment. Which is
mindfulness.
Mindfulness, right. So when I say, oh, you were just talking about your girlfriend. Where would you put your girlfriend up here? Boom.
Oh, yeah. She's important to me. Lower right.
Boom. Right on. And they're in the present moment entry. So that's what we're up to. This is it's a well thought out system that we developed for engaging.
Practiced.
Right. So I'm not going to sit here and say mindfulness, go do mindfulness exercises.
No.
I'm going to be honest with you. Unless you come up with some other way of engaging people in mindfulness without directly telling them to be mindful, I'm going to do the matrix.
Yeah. Well, like we say, It just works.
It,
It just
and
works.
it just works.
And that's what the people that we use it with say. It just
Right.
works.
So that's so beginning act mindfulness. The fancy name for that is showing up to the present moment. The fancier names for that are, I should say, it's self as context.
Yes.
That's the other. That'll blow your mind.
Whoa. Do a self as context exercise.
Oh boy! But see, that kind of language off puts people.
Yeah.
This is the world of being very careful with your language. It just is, folks. Most of us are careless in our language. Phil and I have the advantage, we know the matrix really well, and we'll stick inside that box of the matrix.
Yes.
And it allows us to be very careful with our language, to not add inflexibility to language.
Right.
So people are basically showing up stuck in language traps.
They've already got the inflexibility going.
Right. Your job is to lessen those traps, lessen that load. And it's fraught with danger. It's awfully easy to add inflexibility. And so instead of just chatting all over the place, we stay inside the box
Right.
of them.
Yeah, the easiest way is to add inflexibility is to add more words. So we're really careful with the words.
Yeah. Got to be very, very careful. Yeah. Very. And once you say an ought to, or you
Yeah.
anything
Need
like that,
to, or you should, or
you should, anything like that, boom, you just nailed off over into adding inflexibility.
Yeah.
So we'll finish up and say, if the best thing you can do is learn one, that the target of act is psychological flexibility.
yes.
And that essentially means letting go of your struggle with internal stuff. Your language struggles with internal stuff. Letting go of that, and then do actions and carefully notice the consequences of your actions.
Yep.
And you have to preload that somebody's important to me.
Down there on the lower right.
To me, there's something I want to move toward.
Yep. They got a direction.
And I got a direction. So with that in place, you're good. It's all good. You'll
Yep.
learn. No great thinking required.
Nope.
Which your mind hates. My mind hates it.
Oh, it wants to be in charge of everything.
I'm not. Folks, I'm
And
not
take,
saying
and it wants to take credit for everything too.
I thought of that.
I knew that. Yeah.
And but it does make sense, folks. Your mind showed up long after you were walking and really even talking. You were learning how to talk, and you were learning how to walk, and you were learning how to do all kinds of other stuff without your mind. And
Yep.
suddenly you get enough words and mind emotion emerges, and you're thinking, and then it thinks it's narcissistic. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very high opinion.
Your mind has a very high opinion of itself. And the trick is getting that out of the way so you can learn what works.
Yep.
And I am not for a microsecond saying that's easy, but I am saying if you keep on just crossing through the matrix,
Rolling through this process we're talking to you about.
this is important to me. What's my yucky stuff? What's my relief moves? What's my approach moves? Notice. Keep rolling through that process. One day, in a not too distant future, you'll go, wow,
Mm-hmm.
this is interesting. How things are, and what's happening is you're learning stuff. You're learning what works. So you keep what works and you discard what doesn't work.
Yep.
In terms of behavior.
And the learning happens all by itself.
All by itself.
You don't have
And
to.
it's like, wow, that was a whole lot easier than it used to be.
Yeah, right. Here I was thinking that was gonna be really hard, but it really
Uh,
wasn't that
yeah.
hard.
That's a really, really hard. Well, that's because you were sitting around thinking about it.
Yeah.
And that's not. This is doing actions and notice how they work. That's really it, folks. It's just that your mind mucks up that process.
Yeah, your mind says there's gotta be more. Mind
And so that's where we get a lot. People say, I've improved the matrix.
Yeah,
And we go, oh,
great.
great. Let's see it.
Yeah.
And so far, 100% of the time, they've made it more complicated.
Added more stuff to it.
And sometimes a lot of stuff.
Oof,
Made it
yeah.
very complicated with some very complicated words. That's no. That words like that get in the way.
Nope.
So I know I'm being abrupt today. I'm a little bit tired. I've been up since early this morning, taking my wife to the airport, by the way. So I told Phil, but that's it, folks. Don't just
Okay.
here. I know something that a lot of people just say. Just do the matrix.
Yeah.
They'll say, just do the
Yeah.
matrix.
So Kevin, here's Yvonne says, "What's wrong with connecting the yucky stuff with what's important?"
There's nothing at all wrong with it.
Absolutely not.
What would be wrong with that?
Yeah.
It's just that the yucky stuff, I mean, that it's not exclusively connected to it, but it could be. It can be. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Now, the matrix is drawn so that positive reinforcements on the right, literally on the right-hand side, and negative reinforcements over on the left. So the important stuff tends to be a little more associated with positive reinforcement, whereas the yucky stuff in particular, like pain and fear, is related to relief moves. But I can say here, Phil and I, we have consulted with many people on book writing. So
Yes.
writing a book is very important to me. Let's say that. Somebody has said
Lower right.
lower right. But in a microsecond, lower left stuff has shown up. I mean, boom. We've seen it many, many times. So that would be, Yvonne, an example of how yucky stuff could be connected to important stuff. Or the classic, I'm a teenager and I want to ask somebody out on a date.
Yeah.
With those words, I just struck fear into the hearts of many
Oh my
people.
gosh. You're in the headlights. Look.
They're like, oh no.
I'd rather get my teeth pulled out.
Oh no.
Yeah.
All right, so here I've got somebody important. It is the object of my wanting to date, and I'm frozen with fear. Well, they're connected. So sure, you can connect them up. Not a problem at all. And we do that explicitly when we do consulting with book writing.
Yeah.
Or we don't do much consulting with date getting.
No.
So we haven't done that. But we've definitely done the book writing. And we've gotten several people through the process.
We have. They're out there. A couple we know
They got
are
a
out
book.
there already
They're published.
doing stuff. They published it, and they're on their way to finding a publisher. And yep.
All that good stuff. Yeah. But it's a classic example. I want to write a book. Full stop.
Yep.
I mean, that's what 99% of the time, that's what happens, folks.
Yep.
I want to write a book. Full stop. Lower left stuff shows up.
But
So that's connected. We can go on and on, but the matrix is fun. You just play. You just do it. You just play with it. I can't stress it enough. Just play with it. Messages about my power being back.
very nice.
Oh, but yeah, play, have fun. But it's just a mindful process. So we don't do mindfulness. We just do a mindful process.
The whole process is
The whole
mindful.
process is
Whole
mindful.
process.
And then we walk around thinking about the matrix a lot, and our lives become mindful.
Yes.
And that's what you're going for.
Like a little
Your day-to-day living becomes mindful.
Yep.
But I don't have to wake up saying, you know what, at 8 a.m. I got to do my mindfulness.
Yeah. Time to go sit on the cushion.
Right. Boy, there's a few people that will do that.
Oh, yeah.
Notice I said a few. The rest, nah.
No.
It's worse than exercise. I swear to goodness, people do better at exercising than they do mindfulness.
Yeah.
And they don't do well at that either.
No.
So.
They've got clothes draped on their exercise stuff.
That's a classic picture, isn't
it?
The treadmill.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally has hangers hanging from
coat hangers on it, right? Works really good for that stuff too.
No, we don't tell anybody to do anything like that.
No.
About learn what works. Learn what works. And now back to it. That's what ACT is. It's a learning model. It's just getting you back to basic behaviorism.
Yep.
But you just hit it to make behaviorism more palatable.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't mind behaviorism.
No.
But I don't have to talk about it because I do the matrix. People go,
never mentioned at all.
Yeah. And you know what? People are behaving and learning anyway. It's not like doing something with them that they're not already doing.
No. And they were doing that before behaviorism came along too.
Right. It's like gravity. I don't need to know what gravity is for it to be affecting me. It's happening. Learning's just happening. It's just part of the deal. But the whole idea behind ACT, just to repeat myself, but I will, is that your language gets in the way of that basic learning. That's complicated. I'll explain that later.
Yeah, that's for a Friday.
That's a Friday
deeper dive.
Tomorrow we're doing PTSD, so we won't be doing any crowdcast.
Nope. Next week.
There you go. We did it. I have my rant on mindfulness.
You did.
People will be.
It was a fun rant too.
I will. People will be fussing about me. That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of people fussing about me.
Well, you know, you can be You can notice the fussing.
But a lot of people like it too.
Yeah.
So like the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly.
Do the Matrix. Have fun. And we will. Are we going to be here Monday?
We should be.
Yeah, we should be. There's no holidays. I just always have to go through and think.
I don't think there's anything coming up on next week. Nope.
No. Okay, so we'll do something.
Yeah, you'll get the notification.
Click the green button. Buy one of our courses.
Sign up. Support us.
Support us. Okay. Bye.
Okay. See ya.
See ya.